what are updates in WordPress and what do I have to do about them? This is a great opportunity to take a moment and pause. I know we've been learning all sorts of cool stuff about inserting media and writing posts and stuff like that. But I want to take a moment right now. This is a great opportunity to talk about something really, really important when it comes to your site administration and maintenance. And that's this whole idea of staying on top of your updates. And here is a perfect example. I'm so glad that this happened. I've just logged into my WordPress site here, and I see this notice. I see this notice up at the top right on my dashboard saying WordPress 3.6 is available. Please update now. And then on top of that, there's a few extra little reminders that something needs our attention. Right here under the dashboard where it says updates, we see a round circle with the number 2 in it. And this is WordPress's way of telling us that there are 2 updates that need to be applied to our website. If you remember from the last screencast, we didn't have that there because there weren't any updates to be applied. But now today, as I've just logged in, I noticed that there are 2 new updates. There's also, you can see the same message pretty much up here. And we see the number 2, and if we hover over it, we see 1 WordPress update, 1 plugin update. Okay, we'll try to figure out what that means. And finally, down here next to the word plugins, we see the 1, and that's I think hopefully we're figuring out by now. Even though we haven't really looked at plugins, there's something to do with a plugin that's requiring our attention. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to walk you through how to apply updates. And it's really simple. All we need to do is just click on the Updates tab over here. This will bring us to the page where we can see any of the WordPress updates that need to be applied. It says us here, because I'm recording this on August 4th, and sure enough, it says last checked on August 4th, 2013 at 7:40 a.m., bright and early, just a minute ago. If you want to check it again, you can click this button, but this is basically telling us that WordPress is checking, okay, is checking the availability of new versions of the software we are using. And this is a very important thing for WordPress to do, okay, because staying on top of the latest version of WordPress is really important for security reasons. As the WordPress community develops and releases new versions of the WordPress software, a lot of the new versions, not only does it add new functionality, but it also very frequently adds new security. It adds new security features, if you will. Um, and staying on top of your updates is a really, really important thing. I cannot overestimate that. The vast majority of sort of problems you might have in terms of people breaking into your site, and we will talk a bit more about this in a later screencast. We'll talk about keeping your WordPress site secure. The vast majority of problems you'll have when it comes to people breaking into your site will be because of an outdated software or an outdated plugin. Um, and one of the easiest things you can do to prevent problems from happening is simply to stay on top of your updates. Now, there is there is a caveat to that, okay? And if we read this, we have a really good clue here. It says WordPress is telling us important before updating, please back up your database and files. And you might be thinking, what are we talking about, database and files? We haven't really talked that much about that, but this is the way content management systems work. WordPress is a piece of software. It lives on your server or the server that is hosting your website. But that software also needs a database. It's pulling information from a database to display. And what's in that database? That's just your posts, your information about yourself, anything that you're posting on there, your page content, anything like that. Um, and so WordPress really, your site is really the combination of WordPress working in combination with a database. And so that's what they're talking about here, backing up your database and files. Why is it telling you to back up your database and files? Because it is possible that during the update process, something might go wrong. Okay, this is always a possibility. All right. And so I know that some people are very hesitant about applying updates before, because they don't, before They're hesitant about applying updates because they're not sure about what it might do to their files, and that's a valid concern. But in my experience, um, not applying updates, the result of not applying updates is usually worse um, because of security reasons. So maybe that's not really making sense. When it comes down to it, it's better to always apply the updates for security reasons. Um, and I will tell you, I will in a future screencast, I'm going to show you how to go ahead and back up your database of files. It's actually not all that hard to do, okay? So hopefully by the end of this course, you're going to have a good system in place for backing up all your data anyways, and all your data will be backed up on multiple occasions and on a regular basis. And so this is not going to be an issue. For us, we haven't learned how to back up our database and files yet. But I'm not going to worry too much about this, and this is why. We haven't actually really put a lot of content on this site yet, have we? Let's go take a look at the site. I mean, this is really just our sandbox site, right? If we were to lose this, it wouldn't be the end of the world for us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a bit of an exception. I'm just going to go ahead and apply these updates because you're just working on a sandbox site right now too. Okay, if you have this updates button right here, definitely go ahead and apply the updates, even if you haven't backed up your database and files yet. I'm assuming you're just working on a sandbox site right now. If you have really important information you don't want to lose, okay, then you could go ahead and you could back up your database and files. It's not that hard to do, and you could just skip ahead to the screencast that teaches you how to do that. Again, that's assuming you're seeing updates right now. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and update this. Enough talking. How do we do that? Fortunately, the WordPress interface makes it very easy to apply updates. And all we need to do here is there's actually two updates to be applied. We're going to apply them one at a time. Okay. The first thing here is that it tells us an updated version of WordPress is available. Okay, so, and it says you can update to WordPress 3.6 automatically or download the package and install it manually. Let's go ahead and update now by clicking the nice big blue button. And we get a little message here that while our site is being maintained, it's going to be in maintenance mode. And then as soon as the updates are complete, your site will return to normal. Okay, well then let's give this a shot. So I'm going to go ahead and click the button and we're going to watch what happens. So this isn't an instantaneous process, okay, when you think about it, because the servers actually needed to go get those new files and apply them in the correct way, blah, blah, blah. We get a little bit of a status update, and here we go. Welcome to WordPress 3.6. Thank you for updating to the latest version. WordPress 3.6 makes your writing experience even better. Okay, so there are, whenever you're updating, I don't know whether you'll be updating to WordPress 3.6 or maybe if you're taking this course a little bit later on, it might be another version. But essentially, this is a new version, a new release of WordPress, okay? And there are some new features, and we'll talk as we go on. We're going to discover these new features as we go, and so this is a great experience. And WordPress is the great thing about WordPress; it's always under development. It really, and this is good. You might not think this is good, but this is really good because this is software that is constantly being improved. And remember, it's free software, so you always have access to the latest version. Okay, so let's see if our site has actually changed. I'm just going to open the site in a new tab here, and let's see if anything has actually changed here. It doesn't look very different to me, and that's fine. That's because we've applied the update, the new software, and it shouldn't really look all that different. Now, what's happening here is our theme is still the same. It says here that there's a new theme, but it hasn't been applied to our site. And we're going to do this in an upcoming screencast coming very soon. We're going to talk about themes, switching to different themes. And so we'll have an opportunity to see what the new theme looks like in this new version of WordPress. But for now, it's still the old theme that's activated, and that's perfectly fine. Okay, so what happened here? So we've applied this. We'll explore the rest of this, at a different time. But I still have this number 1 next to the word plugins, and I still have this number 1 right here, just telling us that we still have a plugin update. We still don't even know what plugins are. Don't worry about it. Let's go back. Okay, I'm going to go back to the dashboard here. I'm going to go back to that update section, and I'm going to ask you to trust me on this right now, even though we haven't actually learned about what plugins are. we're going to want to update all our plugins, okay? So in this case, again, it's very, very simple to do. I'm going to just select everything in here. If there were multiple plugins to update, we would select all of them, but in this case, there's just the one, but that's fine. And once it's selected, we just click the Update Plugins button. And once again, it's an automatic process, okay? And there we go. We get a little status notice that's saying that this particular plugin Akismet has been updated successfully. We don't need to see the details. Let's just return to WordPress updates and see if there are any more updates to do. And no, everything is completely up to date. And this is what you want. You want at all times, you want the WordPress updates portion of your site to read like this. You have the latest version of WordPress, your plugins are all up to date, your themes are all up to date. This is what you want your page to see or to say, okay? This is very, very important. So, I'm going to leave it at that, okay? We will come back and we'll talk about what plugins are. We will come back. In fact, next screencast, we're going to start talking about what themes are. But this is a great, because the updates thing just popped up for me there. I thought, wow, what a great opportunity to talk to you guys about updates and why it's so, so, so important that you stay on top of those updates. Okay, so promise me that you will stay on top of those updates. You will always apply those updates, okay? It's going to keep your site way more secure, and it's going to solve a lot of problems. It's going to prevent a lot of problems in the long run. Okay, that's it for now. I hope that that was helpful. Thank you very, very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.